To install, you're going to need a pair of scissors. You will need a 77-piece electronic repair kit that will provide you with Allen key spots as well as Phillip heads, all sorts of different things. This is good to have, especially if you're trying to build an HPA. You will need a long Phillips for the buffer tube screw. You will also need a drill, and you will also, this is actually optional, I chose to use an impact gun to seal the gearbox. You are also going to need some drill bits, and this is actually going to be for the pistol grip so that you can actually install an IGL. It's going to be an F1 Polar Star into a base gun, which is going to be a CM16 Raider. Let's get right into this install. Also to mention, along with this install, we're going to be adding an IGL. This is going to be a black one, and that's going to be everything for this install. So yeah, it's gonna be building time. We have the F1 right here, the F1 engine from Polar Star, and we do have the base model CM16 CQB. We got some basic tools, and as we go on, I'm gonna be adding more stuff. This isn't gonna be a build tutorial, but I'm gonna be just kind of putting it together as a compilation, just so you guys can see it piece by piece. So let's get right into it. First, you do want to take off the upper, which is just gonna be removing this pin right here. Remove the buffer tube stock. Personally, brand new, these can be a bit hard to actually take off, so I do recommend having someone that can pull the this part right here all the way down while someone pulls this piece off. Makes it so much easier. You can really save your fingertips because it really does start to hurt after a minute if you can't get it. And of course, it's just you know, fuse and everything. Ugh, AEG. I don't actually plan to salvage any of these wiring harnesses or fuse. I'm actually just going to be cutting it right off. Just because they actually made it where you can't take it out, which is kind of dumb. So yeah, we're just gonna cut the wires from like this point on with some pliers or, you know, some wire cutters, and then yeah, don't plan on saving it, so rest in peace. If you wanted to save this, just hit me up, I'll send it to you. If you're good at soldering, yeah, good luck, man. From removing the buffer tube stock screw, we're gonna be moving it down to the motor grip. And right now we have some hex keys that we're going to be using that will be coming from this nice little set right here. Absolutely love that. Walmart for $7. I would totally recommend it. So we actually removed the base plate, and these are the screws. Make sure you guys keep everything together so that way you guys don't actually lose it. So just in case you actually need it later down the road, you do have it. So these are the motor connections, and we're just going to be taking out the motor. Luckily, the motor is actually salvageable, that we can actually reuse, as long as everything that's inside this gearbox that we could actually use in a future AEG build, if I ever do that, which will probably never happen. But we're just going to be unplugging this, and then we're going to get the motor out. There's going to be 2 screws at the very bottom. You're going to want to use a long Phillips, oh, that's a flathead, a long Phillips like this to actually reach down there. And yeah, it's going to be easy. It looks like 18K long type. I'm not generally very familiar with motors and revolutions, so I don't know if an 18K is good. I just know that the higher it is, the more RPS you get over time, and I think the lower it is, the better the trigger response. I could be totally wrong. Like I said, I don't know much about motoring when it comes to this type of thing. I am not an AEG person, but for HPA, I am your guy. Screws that were actually sitting from these points on to hold the grip in place. And I know I said I wasn't gonna make a build tutorial, but you know what, fuck it. I really don't care. It's not gonna be real in depth, so if you guys can keep up with this, this should be generally with every single M4. This is a universal takedown for the AEG platform of the M4s. So yeah, if you guys are looking to build for an HPA, this is exactly how you do it. We actually are gonna be removing this pin right here, and then we're gonna be also removing this right here, this catch release, as well as that takedown pin right there. But we're gonna start it with this little guy right here. 3 minutes, actually, what am I saying? After about 2 minutes, we do have the takedown pin for the rear. We also have the little rod that was actually sitting right here, as you can see, as we also have the mag release detached and unaparted as well. That means that this is ready to go and ready to come out. And next step would be to remove all these screws on the gearbox. Now, I kid you not that because these are spring loaded, when you take out the gearbox, you better be ready to actually catch or resist the spring, because it's just going to shoot out. I promise you. Holding this down so that it doesn't do accidental combustion, but all of the screws are out. And thankfully for HPA, you actually do not have to put back all the screws. All you need is the front screw and then either points for the rear. I usually do that one right there, and that's all you need to actually hold the gearbox in place. Yeah, only for AEG you would really need to have all the secured points down. We have fully taken out the whole entire gear set. So we have the cylinder, the piston, the cylinder head, the piston head, the teeth right here, the tappet plate. We have the spring, the gears, and I'm pretty sure this is an 18:1 ratio. That's what this actually is. We have the anti-latch right there. Like I said, I know the basics of AEGs, but I'm by no means a tech when it comes to that. So we're just gonna take all this gunk out and we're gonna be replacing it with that drop-in module there. So right now I'm taking a wet wipe and I'm actually getting rid of all the excess grease from the previous gear set ratio. And this is mainly that we want to keep that one all clean. We don't want nothing interfering with it other than its grease when we need to do it for every 50,000 shots. Gearbox is actually cleaned out. It is time to add our trigger unit as well as our F1. Trigger unit screw from that trigger unit right there. It was actually right there, right where that little empty tab is. Right there, we took that screw and that's what's gonna mount this one right here. So I actually just replaced the stupid tubing. God, Polar Star, get rid of this. This thing is garbage. We actually replaced it with the black amped IGL, and I did have to do some sort of tweaking to actually get this fixed. I'm not gonna go in depth because it was sort of a hoe. But yeah, now we have the upgrade IGL, which means we got nice airflow for when we're playing. That thing, wherever it went, will never harm us again. Wire for the trigger board for the FCU, and I will tell you, if you're not careful when plugging this piece in, you might sever one of these 5 wires, and you do not want to do that. I promise you, it is a whole hassle to get a whole nother one. Next we're going to be trying our best to, I actually need to remove that little spacer, but yeah, we're going to be trying our best to get the stock spring trigger on here. It's going to be a hoe. T-plug, or not the T-plug, but the little plug right under this harness right here, we got it plugged in now. Now we just got to install this. Holy shit, it's going to be a hoe. But yeah, we're going to get right to it, and I will get back to you guys when I get it. And this isn't a tuned trigger, so just mind you that it's going to have a regular trigger pull, but the response, because it's HPA, it's not going to matter. We have the IGL sticking out, and then we have the F1 put together. We're just now screwing it. Now, I said that we only need to use these 2 points, but because the F1 has a really fat IGL, it's causing a sort of misspread. So we're just going to use the screws to tighten it down. And it's going to be okay because it's hose. It's not going to get really affected. To replace one of these, it's like 15 bucks, so it's not that big of a deal. So right now I have a slow impact gun, and we're going to just be drilling it in just to get that added impact to actually close it. So next thing would be to test fire everything, make sure it works. And we're good. Our only thing next would be to put everything back together, which is actually the fun part, because now we're actually done and it's ready to go. That the actual hole doesn't support a big thick sort of tubing, so you will have to have some sort of way to drill a bigger hole, whether it be a Dremel, or you can even take your sweet time filing it. I just had some drill bits. I used actually this size right here, this one right here. And I just filed it down to enough to where it actually let me put it through the hole. And now we just got to add the screws, and then we're pretty much done. Add the buffer tube, and then we can test fire. All right, guys, so we have finished the rifle, and this is how it is looking. I did take off the spring that actually makes it where this closes, so that way we could just have quick and easier access. I actually like it like this. So we have the black IGL. The FC is already plugged in. And it does, would you believe that? It has a working safety. Don't believe me? Back to safety. It's looking good. It's looking very good. All right, guys, what's up? So we have the finished product. I did take off the orange threads. We did add a tracer unit to it. This is the Spitfire tracer unit. We are going to be doing some test firing, and I do have it set to 75 DP, just because it's a shorter barrel. I want more airflow when it's shooting, but this is how it's shooting. This is with 0.25 BBs. safety off. By the way, functioning safety. Functioning safety. This is with the stock trigger too, by the way.